You, O Lord, are my refuge and strength, a strong fortress I can. Run to, oh you, my Lord, are my refuge and strength, a strong fortress I can run to.
Saturday night.
Here we go. We
I
got it.
don't know. I'm just physically so exhausted.
We
I
got
can
it.
hardly think tonight. So y'all pray for me, okay?
Yeah.
We put clothespins up on that chain so we could hang him up by the shirt if needed.
Shalom and welcome to this evening's Torah class. We apologize for the technical difficulties, but we're back online. Please tune in with us. We're going to study V'Echanan, Deuteronomy chapter 3, starting at verse 23. Here we go live in 3, 2,
Well, greetings. I still don't see myself on the screen, but I've got my Bible ready. And there I am. Hey, I'm pretty handsome tonight. Look at that. Anyway. All right. So as Venus said, we are going to start in Deuteronomy chapter 3, beginning in verse 23. Let's all stand for a moment of prayer. Would you please keep your camera on me, please? Thank you. I discovered today why I feel so exhausted. But now I forgot what it was I was feeling. No, I am so exhausted because I've been driving at about 100 miles an hour with my foot through the floorboard, into the carburetor, and out the exhaust. And when you put your foot out the exhaust, you get very exhausted. So y'all pray for me. I'll have the strength to do this teaching tonight. Avinu Shabbat Shalom, our Father who is in the heavens, we praise you, magnify you, sanctify you, and bless your holy name. You alone are God forever. Your throne and might exceed all known gods and powers and principalities that exist. And we are so happy that you have chosen us, called us to be here today to learn your word. We ask you, Father, to assist us as we study. Help us to open up our heart, mind, and soul to receive your truth. Give us a deeper view of the word, and help us to be able to convey it to those who are hungry for your truth. And we ask this in the name of Messiah Yeshua. Everybody say, Lord, I'm hungry.
Lord, I'm hungry.
I ask you to feed me tonight. And you're my teacher, Lord. So I ask you for help tonight as we study your word. And I'm thirsty, Lord. Give me living water so I'll have plenty to give to others and be a better servant for you. In the name of Messiah Yeshua. Amen. You may be seated. Wow. It's been a harrowing, Saturday, Sunday, almost 5 days now. Been really hectic.
That's a lot, chaplain.
Yeah. Well, not just that. I had to carry Mr. Spears to the hospital. And had to wait till after midnight to find out if he was going to go be checked into the hospital or if he was going to come home. The doc didn't know when I talked to him. So I had to wait around until they knew what they were going to do. And I didn't know that until they checked him into the hospital. And that was somewhere around 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. No, it was about 3 o'clock in the morning. So as soon as I heard that they were pretty sure about it, I decided to come home and sleep anyway. Anyway, so we had a good Spirit Realm seminar Sunday night. That's another 3 hours of teaching on top of all this. And we cleaned carpets all week long. Well, it seemed like it. Saturday night, Sunday, and Monday. And Monday evening, I took the shampooer back to the store. And I mean, we've been running that thing every minute we had it until I couldn't push it anymore, and I could go in and lay down. And so anyway, and then yesterday I went to the store. I had to get water for the congregation here so that everybody would have something to drink. And I had to get some cat litter because the cat had run out of litter. And when I was trying to put the cat litter up underneath the cart, it slipped out of my hands, and I somehow ended up on the floor. But there was a customer that was standing there that ran over to me, and he said, "Let me help you with that." And he just picks it up and shoves it up under there where it's supposed to go. So thank God for people that care. And of course, God was there with me to help in that situation too. But I could hardly push that cart. I had 5 of those 5-gallon water bottles full in the cart, plus the cat litter pail underneath it. And I'm shoving on this thing, and it's not going very fast. Boy, God help us all. So anyway, I was certainly glad to see my bed that night, but I did not bring all that water in until today. So I am still exhausted. But God is with me, and we're going to see what he teaches us tonight. Amen?
Amen.
Deuteronomy chapter 3, verse 23. Ve'etchanan el Yahweh ba'etahi lemor. And let's just look that word up because I know what it means, but I want to see if there's any deeper inferences in the meaning of the word that I don't know. Hanan, to bend or stoop in kindness to an inferior, to favor, bestow, causatively to implore, i.e. move to favor by petition. So he is seeking and petitioning God as an inferior, respecting him as the authority and the power. And he is imploring Yahweh to let him enter the land. He's been told, just been told recently, you're not going in because you undermine my glory, my authority, my power, and so consequently I'm not going to allow you to go in. And the reason was because all of those before him who had minimized God and went contrary to God's instructions, he killed them all in the wilderness. 40 years of wandering around. So how could he let Moses in for almost the same kind of a thing? It'd be a little difficult, wouldn't it? Was he appreciative that he had taken and sacrificed his whole life to bring the children of Israel out of Egypt? Well, of course he was. But he could not allow Moses to be a bad example in front of the people, nor could he let Moses, who was the greatest of all the prophets, misprophesy. Okay? So those two strikes in his case and you're out.
Well, technically 3 strikes because prior to delivering the children from Egypt, he didn't circumcise his son.
Well, that's true.
So 3 strikes.
Okay, so he plays baseball.
Yeah.
I think God's a little better than we are at it.
Better than the Rangers.
Oh, please, no, don't say that. That's the only baseball team I could root for, and only about 5 minutes in before I give up figuring out who's winning. I don't understand the game at all. I don't understand the scoring system. It just makes I'm bored. I'm the last.
Sorry, Ray.
Okay. Now, while Shane teaches the class, I'm going to go in the other room and get horizontal and
Bible study.
lay back
Talk
with
about
these big,
the
deep breaths.
correspondence between sports and tonight's Torah Parashat.
We're having way too much fun here. How do we get on this subject anyway?
We're letting the Spirit lead us. What can I say?
So in verse 23, Ve'etchanan means literally that he was essentially having a word discussion with the Creator, beseeching him, begging him to allow him to go into the promised land and see it, because he just feels that, man, if he doesn't get to see it, that's a huge part of his life. It's almost his entire life. So he said, Adonai, Yahweh, you have begun to show et avdeka, your servant, et gadulcha, your greatness, v'et yadika, and your hand, now everybody tune your ears up. Get ready to hear a Hebrew word that you know very well. You ready? Hazakah. Hazakach. Hazak. Remember, at the end of every book, we say Hazak, v'nit Hazak, right? And that literally means strength, to be strengthened. So he goes on, Ashir mi el, which of the gods, what God in the heavens or in the earth, Bashamayim or Ba'aretz. Let me get back up here. Well, I don't know what happened to my chapter and verse, but it certainly went in its own little direction here. There we are, back there. Okay, so for what God, Miel, there's a song we do on the Hebrew prayers, Miel Kamoka, what God is there like you? So Miel, what God, same as for that prayer, Bashamayim, in the heavens, and Ba'aretz, in the earth, which can make or do like your works. Ma'aseh, aseh means to work or to do something. Ki ma'asecha, like unto your works. Who is there? There is no God like that. Let me go over. Is I, avara, go over. Na, please. Please. The ere, and this first is I see. I want to see. Et ha'eretz, the land. Ha'tova, the good land. Asher ba'aver, which is over Hayardan, the Jordan. Hahar, the mountain. Tov, hatov, hazeh, this good mountain, and ha-Lebanon. Lebanon is a word that means literally white, and it's understood to be from the white snowcaps on the mountains of Lebanon. But Yahweh was wroth, angry with me. Notice, I'm going to just look this one up because I don't want to make a mistake on this translation here. Avar, to cross over. That's the one I thought it was. So, and Yahweh was crossed over with me. He went contrary. Are you following me? So he went contrary to me. Lama'anchem, for your sakes, and ma'an, I believe the root means in order to, or so that. Lama'an, probably purpose used only on account of, teleologically, in order that. That's the word I was thinking it was, okay? So this means literally that he was wroth with me for the purposes of them, the people of Israel, as they're coming out of Egypt. And not Shema, he would not listen unto me. And Yahweh said unto me, Rav Lacha, too much unto you, no more. The word more here is same root as Joseph, Yosef, and this is Tosef. You, to in the beginning, the T in the beginning of this is you. And so in other words, do not add to what you have already said. Don't say anything again. Enough already. And he says, do not more speak unto me owed, again, or increased, but of the matter, hazeh, this matter of going over. I've already made my mind up. You're not going. You've had a serious infraction. Be glad that I didn't just strike you dead right there, right then, but I needed you to finish up some things before I could let you go. You're not going to get away that easy. All right. Go up into the top, Rosh, top of the head, or the very top of the mountain. Ha Pisgah is the name of the mountain. Vasa, and lift up Ainika, your eyes. The eyes of you, in other words. Yama, to the west, which would be the Mediterranean Sea direction. Vezapona, that's to the north. Vetemana, to the south. Normally I would see that as Negev, but here it's Vetemana, to the southward. Let's see what the definition says about that. It says the right hand of a person facing east. Golly gee. Okay. And then Mizracha, and eastward. I want to look that one up too. Sunrise, Mizrach, Mizrach, sunrise, to the east. And behold, with your eyes, because lo, not ta'avor, you will go over. Not you will go over. Et hayardan hazeh, this Jordan. Remember last week we talked about the Jordan, that it means the river of judgment. And for that reason it's understood to be it is like the judgment or the afterlife. What's in the life to come, we cross the Jordan, so to speak. So it's the river of judgment. All right, let's go down one. But Vazav, but command at Yehoshua v'chazakehu. There's chazak again. And strengthen him or encourage him. V'amtsehu. This says strengthen here, but I don't know about that. Let me look. To be alert, physically or mentally, encourage. So amatz is the root. And instructing him to be courageous. Because he, Ya'avar, he shall go over, lifnei, before Ha'am, the people, Hazeh, this people. And he, Yanchil, shall cause to inherit Otam et Ha'eretz. He will cause them to inherit the land. Which ye shall see. 29. V'neshav, and so we abode, Begai in the valley, Mul against Beit Peor, the place, city, maybe a valley as well. Okay, and then down in verse 1 of 40. Now therefore, O Israel, I'm going to go ahead and change over to the English. I don't know what had happened, but it didn't like what I just did.
Okay, be mob live that them for to do you and go in.
Okay, so I have to go back.
You for to do them that you may live.
Chapter 31, and I got to go to verse 1.
I've never seen it do that before.
Okay. It came back out of it. That's good.
Amen.
I guess I am going to have to get out of it. Nope. It's going to make me come out and come back. So we're going to go into Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 1. And something has beguiled my computer.
I rebuke that in the name of Messiah.
Shutting down. We'll come back to it in a minute here. It's so interesting to me to see how God holds Moses responsible for his actions. I would probably have had a tendency to say, it's okay, you've done well so far, I can forgive a single infraction. You know what I'm saying? Having a little heart of mercy towards Moses when he's begging me, please, you know. I think God must have had some heart for him in that situation, but at the same time, he couldn't really let him get away with what he did. And so I can't say that God's decision here was wrong. It was a correct decision. Yes, sir?
That's about the way we. That's the same way to rear children. You got more than one, you can't really let one of them get away. You know, just because you probably favor
Right.
one of them, so you have to hold fast to your beliefs and
To the teaching.
the teachings. Yeah, so that they'll learn. That's the way I see it,
Good point. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Even though it's real difficult.
Yes, it is hard. It's a very hard thing to do.
Yeah. Because we would have thought that if anyone deserved to go into the promised land, it would have been Moses. Yeah.
Well, that would be my feeling on it. Okay, so where did my program go that I'm looking for? Okay. I can't even find the program I'm looking for.
I don't realize I'm on it.
I don't even find it anywhere. Nope. Don't open things without asking me.
I meant that. I meant to press that.
Well, you touched the wrong thing, and now we got two Bibles opening up, and I can't get back control. Shane, sit down, please. Please, 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 please.
I got you there, though. I got you there.
Well, not quite there. I'm still looking for what I was originally looking for when you come up and started punching buttons. Okay. I'm looking for desktop presenter. There we go. That's what I was looking for right there. And then there we go. Desktop presenter. And okay.
I see you too.
Now I punch this in, and we're going to go to our interlinear. And then we'll open up the Z and get that at full. So in chapter 4, beginning at verse 1. Let me see how my options are running here on the pictures. Textiles. I'll make it a little bigger, but it's about right. Okay. Now Israel, Shema, listen to the laws and rulings that I am teaching you, in order to follow them so that you will live. Then you will go in and take possession of the land that Yahweh, the God of your fathers, is giving you. In order to obey man, this thing jumped down 10 verses. When I told it to go down one verse, it went down like 5. In order to obey the commandments of Yahweh your God, which I'm giving you, do not add to what I am saying, and do not subtract from it. You saw with your own eyes what Yahweh did at Baal Peor, that Yahweh destroyed from among you all the men who followed Baal Peor. But you who stuck with Adonai, your God, are still alive today, every one of you. Look, I have taught you laws and rulings, just as Yahweh my God ordered me, so that you can behave according in the land where you are going in order to take possession of it. Therefore, observe them, follow them, for then all peoples will see you as having wisdom and understanding. When they hear of all the laws, they will say, this great nation, surely a wise and understanding people. For what great nation is there that has a God as close to them as Yahweh our God is, whenever we call upon him? What great nation is there that has laws and rulings, just as this entire Torah which I'm setting before you today? Only be careful and watch yourselves diligently as long as you live, so that you won't forget what you saw with your own eyes, so that these things won't vanish from your heart. Rather, make them known to your children and grandchildren, the day that you stood before Yahweh your God at Horeb, when Yahweh said unto me, gather the people to me. I will make them hear my very words, so that they will learn to hold me in awe as long as they live on the earth, and so that they will teach their children. You approached and stood at the foot of the mountain, and the mountain blazed with fire to the heart of the heavens, with darkness, clouds, and thick mist. Then Yahweh spoke to you out of the fire. You heard the sound of his voice, but saw no shape. There was only a voice. He proclaimed his covenant to you, which he ordered you to obey, the 10 utterances, and he wrote them on the 2 stone tablets. At that time, Yahweh ordered me to teach you the laws and rulings, so that you would live by them in the land you are entering in order to take possession of it. Therefore, watch out for yourselves, since you did not see a shape of any kind on the day Yahweh spoke to you in Horeb from the fire. Do not become corrupt and make for yourselves a carved image having the shape of any figure, not a representation of a human being, male or female, or a representation of any animal on earth, or a representation of any bird that flies in the air, or a representation of anything that creeps on the ground, or a representation of any fish in the water below the shoreline. For the same reason, do not look up at the sky, at the sun, the moon, the stars, and everything in the sky, and be drawn away to worship and serve them. Yahweh your God. Yahweh your God has allotted these to all the peoples under the sky. No, you, Adonai, has taken and brought out of the smeltering furnace, out of Egypt, to be a people of inheritance for him as you are today. But Yahweh was angry with me on account of you, and he swore that I would not cross the Jordan and go into that good land which Yahweh your God is given unto you to inherit. Rather, I must die in this land and not cross over the Jordan, but you are to cross and take possession of that good land. Watch out for yourselves so that you won't forget the covenant of Yahweh your God, which he made with you. And make for yourself a carved image, a representation of anything forbidden to you by Yahweh your God. For Yahweh your God is a consuming fire and a jealous God. When you have had children and grandchildren, lived a long time in the land, become corrupt, and made a carved image and a representation of something, and thus done what was evil in the sight of Yahweh your God, and provoked him, I call on heaven and earth to witness against you today that you will quickly disappear from the land that you are crossing the Jordan to possess. You will not prolong your days there, but will be completely destroyed. Yahweh will scatter you among the peoples and among the nations to which Yahweh will lead you away, and you will be left few in number. There you will serve gods which are the product of human hands, made of wood and stone, which can't see, hear, eat, or smell. However, from there you will seek Yahweh your God, and you will find him if you search after him with all of your heart and being. In your distress, when all these things have come upon you, in the Acharit Hayamim, that's in the days which are coming, you will return to Yahweh your God and listen to what he says. For Yahweh your God is a merciful God. He will not fail you, destroy you, or forget the covenant with your ancestors, which he swore to them. Indeed, inquire about the past before you were born, since the day God created human beings on the earth. From one end of heaven to the other, has there ever been anything as wonderful as this? Has anyone heard anything like it? Did any other people ever hear the voice of God speaking out of a fire as you have heard and stay alive? Or has God ever tried to go and take for himself a nation from the very bowels of another nation by means of ordeals, signs, wonders, war, mighty hand, outstretched arm, and great terrors, like all that Yahweh your God did for you in Egypt? Therefore, before your very eyes, this was to show you. This was shown to you, so that you would know that Yahweh is God. There is no other beside him. From heaven, he caused you to hear his voice in order to instruct you. And on the earth, he caused you to see his great fire. You heard his very words coming out from the fire. Because he loved your ancestors, chose their descendants after them, and brought you out of Egypt with his presence and his great power. in order to drive out ahead of you nations much greater and stronger than you, so that he could bring you in and give you their land as an inheritance, as is the case today. Know today and establish it in your heart that Yahweh is God in heaven above and on the earth below, and there is no other. Therefore you are to keep his laws and his commandments, which I am giving you today, so that it will go well with you and with your children after you, so that you will prolong your days in the land that Yahweh your God is giving you forever. Then Moshe separated 3 cities on the east side of the Jordan towards the sunrise, to which a killer might flee, that is, someone who kills by mistake, a person whom he did not previously hate. And upon fleeing to one of these cities might live there. You know the cities of refuge that President Trump has, and the Republicans have decided to eliminate them as places of refuge here in Texas. You don't know anything about that?
The whole country, really.
Yeah. So what is your feeling about those places of refuge after reading this?
Good question.
I don't ask bad questions.
I mean, a good question, because I can't answer it. It's a mixed emotion thing.
Uh-huh. Have you ever heard the statement comparing apples to oranges?
Yeah.
What applies to an apple doesn't apply to an orange, and vice versa. These cities were there on purpose so that if someone killed someone by accident, perhaps they were driving down the road, lost control of their car, and it killed them, then someone like that would have been welcomed into these sanctuary cities. Okay? And no one could enter that sanctuary city in pursuit of this person, because the accident that he was involved in was not on purpose, and he didn't want to kill that person, and it was an accident. And so he could go there and be protected. Does that apply to a Muslim? Can it apply to a Muslim? Yes, it can. But does it apply to all Muslims? Only if they've killed someone by accident.
I see the difference now.
Okay? So these cities were not designed to give ethnic peoples a city of refuge, but rather to cause someone who was accused of murder a place to go, so that he could be dwell in safety until his case could be tried out, and he could be found innocent or guilty of the charges.
Right, that was in Leviticus.
Uh-huh. And so if they resolved that he was guilty of the charges filed against him, then he would probably have to be killed. And they said that you will bring him out of the city of refuge, and he can, even if he throws himself on the altar of God, he will not be protected. So the altar of God would be a place where Israelites in the Ger, the sojourners, would be able to go for safety if needed. So in verse 42 it says, well, let's just start in 41 to get the context again. Moses separated the 3 cities on the east side of the Jordan toward the sunrise, to which a killer might flee, that is, someone who kills by mistake a person whom he did not previously hate. And upon fleeing to one of these cities, he might live there. The cities were Betzer in the desert and in the flat land for the Reuvenes, for the Reubenites, Ramoth in Gilead for the Gadi, the Gileadites, Gadites, Gad, in other words, the descendants of Gad and his citizenry, and Golar in Bashan for the Manasseh, for the Manasseites. This is the Torah which Moses placed before the people of Israel. These are the instructions, laws, and rulings which Moses presented to the people of Israel after they had come out of Egypt, beyond the Jordan River, in the valley across from Beit Peor. I just realized that clock was moved and now I don't have a reference on that wall. That's all right. We've been working hard in here. I'm sorry. I digressed a little. So anyway, it looks like it's about 5 till 8, and so I've got about another 30 minutes left in which to, if I can make it that long, we'll go that long. Shane, would you mind getting me a drink of water? My glasses runneth empty. Well, let's go down to chapter 5 and we'll continue reading. Then Moshe called to all of Israel and said to them, "Listen, Israel, to the laws and rulings I'm announcing in your hearing today, so that you will learn them and take care to obey them. Yahweh our God made a covenant with us at Horeb. Yahweh did not make this covenant with our fathers, but with us, who are all here alive today." Let's wait, Shane, please. Don't do that right now. So Yahweh spoke with you face to face from the fire on the mountain. And at that time I stood between Yahweh and you in order to tell you what Yahweh was saying, because on account of the fire you were afraid and wouldn't go up into the mountain. He said, Anochi Yahweh Elohecha, I am Yahweh your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, where you lived as slaves. You are to have no other gods before me. You are not to make for yourselves a graved image of any kind, or any kind of representation of anything in heaven above, on the earth beneath, or in the water below the shoreline. You are not to bow down to them or serve them, for I, Yahweh your God, am a jealous God, punishing the children for the sins of the parents, also the third and fourth generation of those that hate me, but displaying grace to the 1,000th generation of those who love me and obey my mitzvot. You are not to misuse the name of Yahweh your God, because Yahweh will not leave unpunished someone who misuses his name. Observe the day Shabbat to set it apart as holy, as Yahweh your God ordered you to do. You have 6 days to labor and do all your milchama, your works that are that of a servant. But the 7th day is the Shabbat for Yahweh your God. On it you are not to do any kind of work, not you, and that's milchama again, not you or your son or daughter, not your male or female slave, not your ox or your donkey, or any of your other livestock, and not the foreigners staying with you inside the gates to your property, so that your male and female servants can rest just as you do. You are to remember that you were a slave in the land of Egypt, and Yahweh your God brought you out from there with a strong hand and outstretched arm. Therefore Yahweh your God has ordered you to keep the day Shabbat. Honor your father and mother, as Yahweh your God ordered you to do, so that you will live long and have things go well with you in the land that Yahweh your God is giving you. Do not murder, do not commit adultery, do not steal, do not give false evidence against your neighbor. Do not covet your neighbor's wife. Notice that it does not say, do not lie. But it does say, do not present a false testimony against your neighbor. Most people don't notice that. It doesn't say don't kill in verse 17 up there. It says don't murder.
Right.
That's premeditated planning to kill someone. Do not commit adultery. Have sexual relations with another man's wife is the actual understanding of that verse. Do not steal. Do not give false evidence against your neighbor. Do not covet your neighbor's wife. Do not covet your neighbor's house, his field, his male or female slave, his ox, his donkey, or anything that belongs to your neighbor. These words Yahweh spoke to your entire gathering at the mountain from fire, cloud, and thick mist in a loud voice, and then it ceased. But he wrote them on the 2 stone tablets which he gave to me. And when you heard the voice coming out of the darkness as the mountain blazed with fire, you came to me and all the heads of your tribes and your leaders and said, here Yahweh your God has shown us, our God has shown us his glory and his greatness. We have heard his voice coming from the fire, and we have seen today that God speaks with human beings, and they are still alive. But why should we keep risking death? They were really concerned that they could die from his voice. Why should we keep risking death? This great fire will consume us. If we hear the voice of Yahweh our God anymore, we will die. Who is there of all humanity that has heard the voice of the living God speaking from the fire as we have and stayed alive? You go near to him and hear everything Yahweh our God says. And then you will tell us everything Yahweh our God says to you, and we will listen to it and do it. And Yahweh heard what you were saying when you spoke to me. And Yahweh said to me, I have heard what this people said when they were speaking to you, and everything they have said is good. Oh, how I wish their hearts would stay like this always. Always. That they would fear me and obey me, all of my mitzvot, so that it would be well with them and their children forever. Go tell them to return to their tents, but you stand here by me, and I will tell you all of the commandments, laws, and rulings which you are to teach them, so that they can obey them in the land that I'm giving them as their possession. Therefore you are to be careful to do as Yahweh your God has ordered you. You are not to deviate either to the right or to the left. You are to follow the entire way which Yahweh your God has ordered you, so that you will live. Things will go well with you, and you will live long in the land you're about to possess. Now this is the mitzvah, the laws and the rulings, which Yahweh your God ordered me to teach you, for you to obey in the land you are crossing over to possess, so that you will fear Yahweh your God and observe all of his regulations and mitzvot that I'm giving you, you and your children and your grandchildren, as long as you live, so that you will have a long life. Therefore listen, Israel, and take care today so that things will go well with you, and so that you will increase greatly as Yahweh your God, the God of your ancestors, has promised by giving you a land flowing with milk and honey. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, Yahweh your God, Yahweh Echad. He is one. And you are to love Yahweh your God, Ve'ahavata et Adonai Elohecha. You are to love Yahweh your God with all of your heart, with all of your being, all of your resources. These words which I'm ordering you today are to be on your heart. You're to teach them carefully to your children. You are to talk about them when you sit at home and when you are traveling on the road, when you lie down and when you get up. Tie them on your hand as a sign, and put them on the front part of a headband around your forehead, and write them on the door frames of your house and upon your gates. When Yahweh your God has brought you into the land that he swore to your ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Yaakov, that he would give you cities great and prosperous, which you didn't build, houses full of all sorts of good things which you didn't fill, water cisterns dug out, which you didn't dig, vineyards and olive trees which you didn't plant. And when you have eaten your fill, then be careful not to forget Yahweh, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, where you lived as slaves. You are to fear Yahweh your God, serve him, and swear by his name. You are not to follow other gods chosen from the gods of the people around you, because Yahweh your God, who is here with you, is a jealous God. If you do, the anger of Yahweh your God will flare up against you, and he will destroy you from the face of the earth. Do not put Yahweh your God to the test as you tested him at Massah. Observe diligently the mitzvot of Yahweh your God and his instructions and laws which he has given you. You are to do what is right and good in the sight of Yahweh, so that things will go well with you, and you will enter and possess the good land Yahweh swore to your ancestors, expelling all of your enemies ahead of you, as Yahweh has said. Well, it's 10 after 8 and my throat is drying up on me here. Someday your child will ask you, what is the meaning of the instructions, laws, and rulings which Yahweh our God has laid down for you? Then you would tell your child, we were slaves to Pharaoh in Egypt, and Adonai brought us out of Egypt with a strong hand. Yahweh worked great and terrible signs and wonders against Egypt, Pharaoh and all of his household, before our very eyes. He brought us out from there in order to bring us to the land he had sworn to our ancestors that he would give us. And Yahweh ordered us to observe all these laws, to fear Adonai your God always for our own good, so that he might keep us alive as we are today. It will be righteous for us if we are careful to obey all these mitzvot before Yahweh our God, just as he ordered us to do. This is chapter 7, and how far are we from the end?
Just
7-11.
7-11.
7-11. Sounds like a good place to stop and buy something good to eat, huh?
That's funny. Therefore, you are to keep the mitzvot, laws, and rules which I'm giving you today, and obey them. So it really is. Thank heaven for 7-11.
Yahweh your God is going to bring you into the land you will enter in order to take possession of it. He will expel many nations ahead of you, the Hittite, the Gerashi, the Emori, the Canaanite, the Perizi, Hivi, and the Yavuzi, even nations bigger and stronger than you. When he does this, when Yahweh your God hands them over ahead of you, and now I misplaced the plane. When he does this, when Yahweh your God hands them over ahead of you, and you defeat them, you are to destroy them completely. Do not make any covenant with them. Show them no mercy. Don't intermarry with them. Don't give your daughter to his son. Don't take his daughter for your son, for he will turn your children away from the following me in order to serve other gods. If this happens, the anger of Yahweh will flare up against you, and he will quickly destroy you. No, treat them this way. Break down their altars, shiver their standing stones. Literally, when it's talking about chopping up the wood altars and breaking up the stone altars, literally the word is shiver. You've heard of shiver me timbers?
Yeah.
That's talking about the same kind of a word. It's the same. It actually comes from Hebrew.
Wow, shiver.
So anyway, cut down their sacred poles, the Asherah poles, and burn up their carved images completely, for you are a people set apart as holy for Yahweh your God. Yahweh your God has chosen you out of all the people on the face of the earth to be his own unique treasure. Yahweh didn't set his heart on you or choose you because you're numbered more than any other people. On the contrary, you were the fewest of all peoples. Rather, it was because Yahweh loved you and because he wanted to keep the oath which he had sworn to your ancestors, that Yahweh brought you out with a strong hand and redeemed you from a life of slavery under the hand of Pharaoh of Egypt. From this you can know that Yahweh your God is indeed God and faithful God, who keeps his covenant, extends grace to those who love him, and observes his mitzvot to 1,000 generations. But he repays those who hate him to their face and destroys them. He will not be slow to deal with someone who hates him. He will repay him to his face. Therefore, you are to keep the mitzvot, laws and rulings, which I am giving you today, and obey them. Now, I'm exhausted.
But you got it.
We made it to the end. Hallelujah.
Amen.
So, if somebody asked me, why is it that these huge miracles, signs, and wonders happen to this group of people? Well, it's because they don't love Yahweh our God. And because they don't love Yahweh our God fights to deliver us from their control. That's the answer. There is no other answer. Isn't that interesting? Good night. I feel like God just hit my off button quick. But we did it.
Yeah, you did it.
I taught 2 hours on Saturday, 2 hours on Sunday, and 2 hours tonight. Hour and a half or 2 hours tonight. Hour? Yeah. Oy.
Well, 2.5 and 3/4.
No wonder I'm exhausted. Like I told you, I got my foot all the way through the floorboard throw the carburetor down into the engine, out the exhaust manifold.
Oh, God.
So if anybody looks at my foot and sees a big red foot there, a stub that's all that's left, then you'll know why. I have been totally exhausted. Any comments or questions by any of y'all's? Ewanses?
Okay, you're getting ready to put the, okay, I see.
I'm all ears if anybody wants to ask anything or make a comment. But if you talk too long, I'll probably be asleep before you get finished. Well, it was good. It's always good to discuss the Torah. If anybody wants to make a contribution, please go to our website, and there's instructions up there where you can send a check, or you can go to tzion.org and click on the link that says contribute here, contribute now, whatever it says. I forget what it says now, but it'll take you to our contribution page, and you can decide how you'd like to do it, either by mail or you can use PayPal to send a contribution. We can certainly use and appreciate your gifts. If you'll pray and seek God what He wants you to do and do that, He's not going to be unhappy with you. Neither will I. So, well, that's it. God bless you all. Thanks for watching. And please remember, we have a nice Sabbath service here on Shabbat, on Saturdays. And at 10 o'clock, I teach a Rabbi, it's called the Bible Issues class. And everyone's welcome to that. And then we also have our morning service and a sermon at the end. So love to have you. And then next Tuesday, we'll have another good Torah service, Torah study class. The next class is called Ekev, and it means because. That's why the Torah Parashat starts off. Because you are listening to these rulings and keep obeying them, and on and on. So there's a cause and effect in God's kingdom, and He's showing you what things cause good effects, and they will come upon you because God made them be that way. Well, that's it. Shalom, shalom, and I hope to see you this coming Sabbath at 10 a.m. And the Lord go with you and smile upon you and be gracious to you. If these classes are a blessing to you, please just drop me a little line and say, enjoying the classes or whatever, And be sure and like us on Facebook, because it'll add to people's ability to know what we've got to offer. And it'll be possibly even a financial incentive for us if we get enough likes. And also subscriptions help a lot too. Shalom, everyone, and see you next time. Here or there or in the air.
Thank you for joining us for another delightful Tuesday evening Torah class. We hope to see you again this Shabbat morning, that's Saturday morning, beginning with our 10 a.m. Bibles Issues class, followed by our main service with worship, liturgy, and another teaching. In the meantime, we shall see you again, and Shalom, Shalom.